Hey, welcome to Folkwake Productions and the review. And we're here just to go through another video, and I thought this time you'd need my vocal or audio to sort of guide us through this process. Now, what we're playing here is a game that's another example of Rift, my integrated CCG system. We have Star Trek versus Star Wars. I am on the left, my friend's on the right. I'm playing Star Trek, and he's playing Star Wars. What we've got here, I have here for the seed cards, I have alternate universe door. I have two space-time portals, a open diplomatic relations, and that allows me in turn to seed a tri-treaty. And then I have three hidden agendas, or three face-down cards to begin with, and those are engage cloak. My opponent, who's playing Star Wars, he's playing the Naboo objective, the occupation, I forget what it's called, which allows him to see Naboo, the Naboo swamp, and also the droid rack, which allows him to, again, save droids when they're hit. So that's what the setup is. Now, for those who aren't familiar with either of the two CCGs, well, first let me let you know. So the rules here are for the Rift system is the game board that's chosen will determine where things can deploy. So it's Star Wars game board, my friend's game board, which normally is chosen randomly. And there I'm just pointing out the cards I just named before. And so that means everything has to be deployed with the base on the regulations of Star Wars. But we retain everything else we retain as in terms of everything else for functionality. So that means that I will have a limit of, I have no costs, but I have a limit of one card per turn. And my opponent will be will play as many cards as he can pay for. I will draw one card at the end of the turn. He will draw as many cards as he wants to at the end of the turn from his force pile. And so that's how it's going to go. I'm really excited to walk you through this and have you guys experience the Rift system at its fullest, allowing us to sort of really combine these two items into one game. And that's what it's designed for. It's to allow you to really be able to sit down with any deck and sit down with any CCG deck from another opponent and sit down and play a game without having to make sure we have the same decks or buying new cards or anything. So you'll see this, and I really enjoy it. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to see, again, we're going to see how this goes. Alrighty? So now we're going to start, and I believe I do start. Yeah. All right, so I start with the turn, and what it looks like here is I don't have, let's see, so my first turn, I don't have anything that I really want to play. I do have a personnel, but it's not, I don't think at the time that it's going to help me, and so I don't end up actually playing that, and I just draw instead. So I end my turn. So nothing progressed for me, but then my opponent, it's his turn. He's going to activate the Force, and he starts out pretty small as usual in Star Wars. And he is going to, let's see, so uh, he's going to go ahead and deploy a card from his deck, a site because of his objective, a Naboo site, and he pulls out battle planes. Now this is good for him because this is going to allow him to have a bonus to a +2 power for any tanks that he drops. And tanks already have, I think, started at a 6 or an 8. So it's really nasty. It really puts him in a strong position. And then he's going to go ahead, looks like he's going to deploy some more cards. It looks like it's going to be, oh yeah, so he deploys the fighter straight ahead, which gives a forfeit bonus to fighters. And then he's going to play looks like a ship, the DFS 327. And then, so yeah, he deploys that at the system. So it's making him already have a very strong presence, especially in the space right now. And then he's also going to deploy, it looks like an Emodian, a very specific one. I forgot his name, Tama? I don't remember. But it's one of these. But he deploys it there. And then the last thing he deploys is, no, it looks like that's all he does for deploying. All right. So I don't want to start space because I can't just drop a ship because I can only play one card per turn. I have no way to play additional cards. There are card ways to do that, but I have none in my hand. So I just play Data there at the swamp. Now, he is normally a 12 in Star Trek, but in the integrated system, any Star Trek cards versus non-Star Trek cards, you're going to have their stats round up. So Data is a 6. And that's what he is at the swamp. Now I'm trying to determine if I want to move him after playing my card, playing Data. I decided I better not, because if he drops a tank and I've got one person there, then it's going to hurt me. So I just stay there. So I leave Data there. It's his turn. And it looks like here he's going to play more cards. All right, so it looks like he goes ahead and looks through his draw deck to play looks like a pilot. And it looks like it's Sail Ooch. And I don't remember Seleuch's stats. And he deploys it onto the battleship. So the battleship's even stronger. So this is not looking good for me in any way, shape, or form, unfortunately. It's something that I am going to have to deal with. Yep. And so, yeah, it's not looking good. And he's just checking something. All right, so my turn. I go ahead and deploy Worf, Son of Moog. Now he in this system is going to be a 5 power. So now I have I have 11 power there, and I this is a friendly game, so we don't get nitpicky at each other. So I remind myself I need to force drain first. So I force drain for 1 to try and get some kind of first blood in, which I do. So he's going to lose a card from the force drain. And then once he loses the card, then I'm going to go ahead and play Worf, Son of Moog. And then I'm going to go ahead. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm deciding what to do. And I'm trying to say if I want to move them over now. This would give me an 11 strength. So 11 power equivalent wherever they are, as long as they're together. That still isn't enough to overpower one tank, but his likelihood of dropping a tank, more than just one tank at this point, is not high. So I go ahead and do it. I move over. On his turn, he's going to deploy another site. It looks like it's the, I think, Naboo Courtyard. No, I'm sorry. What he deploys is the Blockade Flagship Hallway. And then he just draws. So that's what he plays. All right, so it goes to my turn. And I need more resources at this point because I'm just not getting a lot. So I play Kivas Fajo Collector. And Kivas Fajo Collector allows me to draw 3 cards, and that's my card play for the turn. So that's my card play for the turn. And I believe that's all I do because I don't have any way to play more cards at this point, unfortunately. So it's his turn. He's going to play Wipe Them Out, all of them. That's a very good effect. It's going to allow him to generate force every turn. During my turn, generate 1 force. And then he's going to deploy more stuff. And it looks like, yeah, so he's deploying a battle droid officer to the swamp. And then he's going to deploy let's see, was that a single trooper aerial support. Looks like he's gonna put he puts blaster cannons on there. Um, and then he's gonna deploy some more cards. It looks like was that an infantry battle droid? I think so. Sort of clumping the cards together, so I apologize for that. But yeah, so he's deploying another infantry battle droid to the swamp. And then looks like so you got there the swamp. Oh, he's deploying a Nemodian pilot. So he's going to deploy another Nemodian pilot onto the battleship. And then looks like he's gonna pull something from his draw deck. It looks like the site. That's right. He's gonna pull another site because he can. So it looks like he's gonna pull come on, what is he pulling? It's very interesting. Oh no, he tried to pull something. Okay. So he tried to pull something. Looks like there isn't any any Naboo site in his reserve deck. Or did he pull that? Oh, he did. I'm sorry, he did. So he went ahead and pulled the site. And now we courtyard, the Naboo courtyard there. Okay, so that ends his turn. On my turn, I'm going to play Mr. Spock. So now I have a total of 16 there. 5 from Spock, 5 from Worf, and 6 from Data. So I now have a decent presence now. I do have 16, so that's a good amount of power. It gives me some kind of fighting. Now, I would ideally like a weapon or something like a phaser, but I'm just not having a lot of luck on pulling a lot of things in this game, as you can see at this point. So I'm trying, and it's just not working as well for me. Now, I'm deciding where I want to move. Now, do I want to stay there again with that battle tank threat? Um, and it's really a hard dicey situation because, again, as a Star Trek player in a Rift game, you're a little bit behind in terms of compared to the Star Trek, which can just surge ahead very quickly to do a lot every turn. And unless I have very specific cards, I'm going to be sort of behind. Now, I did back up and say I was going to force string because I had forgotten. He reacts by deploying after her as a result. Now, on his turn, he's going to play another flagship site. And then during his turn, I'm going to play Kivas Kafajo, no, Pelotov. I'm going to play that to get back my Kivas during his turn. And then he is going to play, it looks like, another site. It looks like that is the, what is that card? It looks like that's the, so yeah, it looks like he deploys another site. Looks like that's the energy shaft or generator. I forget what it's called, but it's nothing to be safe. Okay, and then he's gonna play some other things. So at the he's gonna end up actually playing that. Looks like the yeah, it looks like some kind of a vehicle. Yeah, so we played the flagship docking bay. I played Protov. Oh, Theed Palace Generator is what that is. I'm sorry. And then he's going to play a TT6. And it looks like he's playing the TT6 on the swamp. And then he ends up moving it over. So he now has a TT6 with all those other battle droids. Now, on my turn, I'm going to play Kivas Fajo yet again. In fact, the one that I retrieved during his turn. Again, drawing more cards, trying to get more resources, anything to try and put up a fight. Because at this point, again, I'm feeling a little behind and really severely threatened with the fact that I don't have. Now, this is good. I just drew a ship that could change things. And this is good. Now, a Rift integration rule is that for Star Trek, since they have only one card turn per play, but if it's on a Star Wars site, then they're going to have an advantage. Okay, so he played, it looks like, another Nemodian pilot onto his battleship, and he's deciding if he wants to put anything there at that site. It looks like he is. Now, here's where things get a little scary, or really scary for me, because he's going to play a bunch of things. So it looks like he deploys a tank. So he does deploy a tank. And the tank is, right at that point, I think it's a 9 power. He's going to deploy a tank commander, a weapon on that tank, and in effect, it makes it even nastier. And then he's going to deploy even more battle droids, it looks like, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so it's not looking good for me at this point, and I'm really nervous. I'm really scared because I really do need some way to either really play a lot of cards. I need to get a red alert or download a magic commander to a ship, or something to allow me unlimited card draws or some mechanic so I can just unload a lot of cards out of my hand to try and change things. I have not gotten it yet. But as I mentioned, I did draw that Bortos last turn. So I do have a way to at least get out of it because of my cards. So you'll see that. Luckily, I do have luck on my side to stay alive at this point in the game, which otherwise would be horrible. And luckily, he's playing a droid-themed deck, because otherwise he'd be force draining at that swamp every turn, which luckily he does not. Again, he generated the one force during my turn because of his limited them. Okay, so on my turn, because I have a crew or away team, so since I already have an away team on a system-related site, I can play just the ship for my card play. So I do that. And that then allows me to beam everyone up and that will fully staff the ship, which will then in turn allow me to go ahead and engage cloak. So I'm going to reveal one of my hidden objectives, one of my engaged cloaks, uh, as a response to cloaking. And then I'm going to, instead of doing the usual turn the card face down in Star Trek, I'm going to move it onto the objective. And that will leave my, until I decide to bring it out, it's going to effectively leave the ship off the table. Untouchable, untargetable, unseeable. Now, there is a way to pull it out, a specific Star Trek card, grid pattern search, but um, I don't think he has that because it's Star Wars. He definitely doesn't have that. So I'm safe. I cannot be touched at this point. Um, and then I lost track of what he's doing. Oh, sorry. So he decided he can do this. So after her, he is able to go ahead and put that into the used pile and retrieve 4 force. So he decides to do that on his turn. So then it goes, and then he's gonna, of course, deploy. It looks like a blaster on one of the droids. So again, he's creating a very specific presence, which is not good for me. This is going to threaten me very legitimately because I don't have a force there, and I just have a barely staffed ship that's in cloak, that's cloaked, and then I'm waiting to try and have a better opportunity for. So at this point, definitely me as a Star Trek player, because of the luck of what I've drawn at this point in the game, I definitely am behind. Um, and so I'm really hoping for some kind of way to stop things, to really unload. And there are ways to do it in Star Trek. I just have not drawn it so far. All right, so I am going to play Traveler Transcendence next to any player's draw deck, and I choose my draw deck. What that's going to allow, it forces an additional card draw at the end of the turn. Now, I could try and use that on my opponent, theoretically, to try and short him out quicker, but that would also give him more resources, and he's ahead at this point, so I don't. Play it on my deck, allowing me to draw 2 cards instead of 1 at the end of each turn. Now, on his turn here, it looks like he plays another weapon. And it looks like he's also going to play what he was waiting for, and this is what I was afraid of, and I was hoping he wouldn't play, but he does. He's going to go ahead and play Throne Room, which is when he needs to flip his objective, along with Runahako. I don't know how you say it. Runahako. That one of the main Nemodian characters. So he plays it at the Throne Room. So now he controls the site at the throne room. He flips the objective. So now he gets the bonus, and the bonuses from that didn't come into play a lot. So I don't remember what it was, but the point is he flipped the objective. And in Star Wars CCG, any objective you can flip successfully affords you a number of bonuses. Now he plays another flagship site there. After playing a DFS squadron, it's the bridge. I'm sorry, flagship bridge. Sorry, and then he plays an effect. Activate the droids. Yep. So he plays activate. I think that was activate the droids. I could be wrong. Let me see what he plays here. Nope. And then he's going to play a weapon. So he's playing tank commander effect, and then droids. Okay, and then he plays some droids. All right, so now he's played a number of things, and he has a very solid presence. And another weapon, another blaster on another droid. So, yeah, so now it's my turn, and I'm going to now discard one of my portals here to do a once per game effect. Allows me to report with crew personnel, an alternate universe ship, and then any number of alternate universe personnel, as long as all of them are alternate universe. And that's what report with crew effect does in Star Trek. It allows me to play a lot of cards at once. It's not as much as I'd like, but it's better than nothing. So I'm going to play Dr. McCoy, Montgomery Scott onto the Starship Enterprise with do that. And then I'm also, when you ever do a report with crew, you're able to play as many equipment as applicable as well, along with those. So I'm going to play 2 ablative armors. So I play those as well. They're all going to go ahead and just pop out in the Naboo system because they're just going to deploy there. So, hallelujah. I now have a ship. The ship is going to be currently a 5/5 for its stats. 5 shields, 5 power versus that flagship, so it's still not impressive. It still not more. Now, the Starship Enterprise allows me to special download, so pull from my deck any one original series character. So I'm going to pull down, obviously, Captain Kirk, who is the matching commander, and he in turn allows me to special download a captain's log, which gives a +3/+3 bonus to any ship that has its matching commander on there. So as you can see, this is going to help me out quite a bit space-wise. So I'm going to play that. And then I'm going to go ahead and play Guinan for a normal card play. Now, I believe this is where I made a mistake. I believe I would have had to wait a turn to play that, but it doesn't matter. I would have had another turn to do it. I would have just waited another turn with that after playing it. So, but I play Guinan. Guinan is on an Enterprise and Captain logs out, so it doubles its effect. So now my total weapons now for the Starship Enterprise are 11. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull out the board toss. And I'm going to go ahead and then it looks like I'm going to do some beaming, transfer some things. I think it's just the blade of armor that I'm going to transfer. Now the reason I want to transfer one of the blade of armors is so that my board toss has a chance of surviving. Because I think he over there is like 20 power or something right now. So with the blade of armor, the most he can do if he attacks, as long as he doesn't play anything else, is a damage effect. And he can't, with a 22 effectively for damaging requirement for my Enterprise, he currently, again, unless he plays something else, cannot damage my Enterprise. So now what I'm going to do, it looks like I did deploy those. So it looks like on my turn, I beamed down Spock and Kirk down to the throne room, and I engage in battle versus his battle droid and his Nemodian. So we're gonna mix things up here. In Star Trek, personal battle is 1-on-1, and ships, you target one ship when you attack as well. So it's a much more individual basis before you do any group resolution. So in this system, since I'm the attacker, you observe the attack mechanic, the combat mechanics for engagement purposes of the attacker. So he will do things individually, but he does have a weapon, so he's going to try and fire it. He is attacking Kirk. Now, Kirk is with Spock, so his normally 4 strength is a 6. Now, he drew a total of 4. He drew a 2 for his destiny. It does have +2 with the effect, but it's a 4, so it does not get over, so it does not get to add Battle Destiny to the power. So now I do the normal face-off. So I drew a Spock. He's a 7. Yeah, so Spock is a 7. That's versus the droid. I believe the droid, let me see what the power was. I'm trying to remember on that. Okay, Spock was 7. Oh, sorry. And the droid was a 5. Now, this is a mistake that he made on his end that I didn't catch. He's adding a bonus right now based off of having 3 ships, but you have to control the system to get the site bonus to combat. So he wouldn't have had the bonus, but the effect is going to be the same, I believe. But right now, we're calculating as a 7 versus a 5, and it should be a 7 versus, I believe, a 2. Now, what happens is we resolve as per Star Trek, since we engage per Star Trek, but we resolve as per Star Wars because he's the defender. So the result is going to be a loss of battle damage, of 1 battle damage. Now, looking at his force pile, he doesn't have a lot of force left because he's been deploying a lot of things. So he decides to go ahead and lose the droid rather than lose the force. Now that he can satisfy the battle loss because he had an attrition of 4. Now we go to the next one engagement, and it's Kirk. And Kirk versus the Nemodian, I have an auto stun function on Kirk. And what that translates to in these for the integration with versus a Star Wars character is it's going to be an automatic loss of force equal to the forfeit value of the character. So he just lost 4 force because Nickelodeon has 4 forfeit. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play Distortion of the Space-Time Continuum interrupt, and it allows me to target a ship and then its crew and or away team are unstopped. So I do that for the Enterprise, which in turn unstops Spock and Kirk. So I'm going to go ahead and, but he only has one person left, so I want to ensure a result. Now here's my bad. No, actually, sorry. So I beamed Spock up, back up to the Enterprise, and I engage combat with Kirk alone. Since there's only one-on-one, we don't have to randomize it, and he's going to again have the auto stun function because of his game effect. Again, will force my opponent to lose force equal to the forfeit value of the character or lose the character. And as in last time, he chooses to keep the character and just lose the force. So he loses another 4 force. So Kirk is very powerful in a Star Trek setting here, versus a Star Wars character. But I do that, so he's stopped now from the attack, and I then go ahead and beam an unstopped Spock along with one other person, I believe, Data, I believe, yeah. I'm going to beam those two down to join Kirk so that we have now Spock, Kirk, and Data who are at the throne room. So I have a force there. I think I'm looking at, there's somebody else. I don't believe so. Yeah, I believe I want to keep everyone except for those 3. All right, so that's what I do. I beam the away team down, and that ends my turn, I believe. I don't think I do anything else. All right, so it is going to be his turn now. And his turn, he plays At Last We're Getting Results. I forgot what that does. It's a minor effect, actually. It doesn't do a lot of effect versus my forces. So I have turned the tables because of the beaming technology, which is a huge advantage, as you can see here, and as you'll see also later during the game. All right, so he plays another ship. So unfortunately, he's turning the tide of battle. So he's playing a DFS 15, and then he's also going to play, and looks like, what else does he play? Looks like he's going to be playing some more battle droids. Looks like he's going to be a security battle droid. So he plays a security battle droid at Throne Room to try and reinforce his position there, to try and, win back the Throne Room or try to stop me from eliminating him, which is what my goal is, because I want him to flip back over. And then he plays another droid as well. So now he's got, oh, wait, he can't play that when he plays a different one. Okay. Same cost, though, so he doesn't have to go back on that. So now he's got that Nemodian, I always forget his name, and then the 2 droids. And so it's now my turn, and I am going to go ahead and play. So I'm going to play a Federation outpost. And I have the Federation engineer there, Scotty, so I can play it. And so I play that at Naboo. So I've built an outpost at Naboo, which makes my position a whole lot more secure. So I'm going to just dock both ships. They're all going to, and everyone's just going to beam back up onto the outpost so that now I can rearrange things as I see fit. But basically everyone's safe. And then I also go ahead and cloak. So I have I moved one of the armors that I played earlier onto the outpost. The other one's on the Enterprise, and I cloaked the other ship for safety. Now, and that's all I did. Now, on his turn, he plays another battle droid. Luckily, I don't have anyone he can attack, but he's building up forces. But here's the advantage of my position: is I'm very safe. I have a very a fortified outpost and ship that are very secure now at Naboo. And he's on his turn. He's going to retrieve droids from the rack. So he pulls droids from the rack, and then he's going to go ahead and pay 2 force to deploy the droid that he just pulled. So now, okay, here it is, finally. Here's a card I've been waiting for. So this is Ready Room Door. Allows me to go ahead and download to a ship. It's matching commander, and then the result is draw no cards this turn. Now in Star Trek, that means that I can't draw any cards for the remainder of the turn, not by any means whatsoever, but as a result, I can play unlimited cards. So I play a lot of personnel there. As a result, so it was, let's see, Kira, Geordie LaForge, Jadzia Dax, Deanna Troy, Tarul, Beverly Crusher, Uhura, and then I played Genotronic Replicator, which will allow me to, as long as I have 2 medical that aren't touched, save everyone else from dying. And then also, it looks like I play the USS Defiant as well. And then I beam everyone around so that both ships are fully staffed, undocked, and everyone else is at the outpost. And I think I'm engaging in combat with those ships targeting his capital blockade ship. So I have a total of 22 power. And his is, I believe, yeah, so his power right now is 13. So he draws Battle Destiny, and it's a 5, so it's really good, I believe. So he adds it to an 18. The difference is 4, so he go ahead and just loses a pilot for the 4 forfeiture. And then I beam down an away team from the outpost to the throne room to attack. So I'm going to attack. Beverly Crusher is a mere 3 right now, unfortunately. They don't have a lot of bonuses. So I do a 3. Again, he's looking at that bonus there, but we realize that that's only if he realizes then it's only if he controls, which we realize now that he realizes that he doesn't get the bonus now because he does not control the site. So he only has in-house, so any bonuses that are on the droids themselves, some other card, which he has none. So it's going to be Crusher versus the droid. The droid is going to be a 2, I believe. I'm jumping ahead, so I apologize. Yeah, he's got no bonuses. So he's got to go ahead and draw. So, all right. So yeah, he's still looking for any kind of game effect bonus to give him a bonus to power, but he doesn't have any. All right, so we go forward. So the first pairing is Crusher, who's a 3 power, versus the droid's power of 2. So that means he would lose. Oh, he gets, and actually the droid can draw Battle Destiny if not able to otherwise, so he's going to be able to do that. So he's going to draw, and it's a 0. All right, so that doesn't help him then. He gets a 0 for the Destiny, so that means that the droid is its standard 2. That would be 1 force loss. Again, he has so little left that he decides to go ahead and satisfy the force loss by forfeiting the droid. And so, because he doesn't want to lose anymore. Okay. Alrighty. So then we go to the next one, and this is Spock versus a droid. Spock is a 5 strength, so he has to go against the opponent's against the droid's power. Now the droid is another one that can draw Battle Destiny if not able to otherwise. He draws, it's a 2, so the total power is 4. So it's 5 versus 4. I'm winning with 1 force loss to him. Again, he does not want to lose any more than he's got, so he just loses the droid by forfeiting to satisfy the battle damage. All right, then the next one we go to is Data, and it's a droid, and it's, again, another droid that allows him to draw Destiny, if not able to otherwise. So that's very powerful in Star Wars. So... All right. So yeah, he's figuring that out right now, that that's what he can do. So he draws Destiny, and he draws a 7. He draws a really good Destiny. So that makes Data just a 6 versus a total 7. And that means that I'm going to take battle damage. Now, in Star Trek versus Star Wars format, force law, anything, the equivalent of force is points. And the differential applied at the beginning of the game is a negative 25 factor. for me, the Star Trek player. So he has to lose all of his cards, and I have to lose 25 points to lose the game. I lost 1 point because of the data matchup. Now here's Geordi. Geordi has a 3. We're looking at the specific Nemodian here. I think it's Haiku, something like that. I don't remember. And his total is 4. So that is another force loss of 1 to me. So I've lost 2, so I'm down to -2. And then we're on the last person. This is Kira. It's going to be Kira versus the droid. She is a 4. And the droid is going to be a 4 power as well. So that's a tie. So nothing happens there, no force loss. So the net gain here is that he lost some characters. Unfortunately, I did lose 2 points in the process. I'm down to -2. So it's his turn now, and he decides to initiate combat at the site to get a force back, to retrieve 1 force. So he retrieves a force. We are going to again engage in combat. And oh, I realize this is an error I made. Shoot, should have done the engagement as per Star Wars since he's the attacker, not Star Trek since I'm the defender. So I apologize, my friends. This is a mistake we both made in the game. So it should have been just a total power comparison, and then with a loss of a character for either side, depending on who lost. So that not a loss of a character, I'm sorry, but a loss of force for the total difference. But instead, I resolve it as per Star Trek because I forgot, and it was my bad. So, folks, I apologize. In the Rift system, again, you resolve combat engagement as per the attacker, but you resolve that results of combat as per the defender. So, I apologize. So the engagement rules would have been Star Wars. So it would have been a total addition of all of his characters all together, which is what he should have done, and then a total comparison to mine. And I believe I would have come out on top in that case, and he would have had a force loss. So again, we both made a mistake here. We both messed up, and I apologize. And I apologize for that. But we end up doing the engagement here, and the result here in the combat. And if he actually, it would have been a lot worse. So anyway, so it's because we're doing it incorrectly, we're engaging as per Star Trek again, which should have been Star Wars engagement rules, because he's the attacker. So we're looking at this. And again, I'm pointing out that again, this is only if you control. So that's Beverly versus Droid. That's 3 versus 3. So nothing would happen there if you're resolving. But again, we did this incorrectly. McCoy is a 3. Haiku is a 4. I believe that a droid was lost. Oh, with Geordi. Yeah. Geordi fought against a droid and the droid was lost. So that was the end result. Now the end result is he lost a droid that went to the racks. And then I would have, and I result lost 1. Now on my turn, I am attacking on my turn. All right, so on my turn, I am attacking all 22 power, and again, attacker engagement rules followed results of loser. So I attack, and I attack his starfighter. So that's I have a total of 22 with the starfighter, and he has 5 power for his flagship. So result, he loses. That's a difference of 17 battle damage. So as a result, he lost all. He's going to have to lose his fighters to satisfy that. Now the fighters are +2 forfeit because of his effect. So they're each effectively a 5 forfeit. So he loses all 3 fighters to satisfy 15 of the 17 battle damage. And then he is going to need 2 more to lose, because that was just massive power versus not the fight. I'm sorry, I attacked one of his fighters, not the not the flagship. If it was a flagship, it would have been a very small difference. So that's why I went after the fighters. So I apologize. I went after the fighters. So the difference, the fighter was a 5 power. My total power is 22. 17 difference. He loses 3 fighters to satisfy 15 of the 17 battle damage. And he's got 2 more to lose, and I think he's going to lose just one of the Nemodian pilots. Yes. So he loses another Nemodian pilot from the flagship to satisfy the loss. So that's resolved. All my ship and crew are stopped there that were involved in combat. And then I'm going to go ahead and beam down. I'm going to beam up 3 characters back up to the Federation outpost and leave 3 down there. And we're going to go ahead and engage in combat. And I'm going to try and finally eliminate his presence of the throne room to get his objective flip back over. So here to engage. Kira's first. Kira is a 4. The droid is going to be a 3. So that is a force loss of 1. That's a battle damage of 1. He is going to, again, I believe, let's see what he does. So he could lose the force or lose the battle droid. And it's no permanent loss for him because it will just go to the droid rack, which is what's nice about that effect for a dark side player built with a theme like this. So he decides, I believe, yes, so he decides to go ahead and lose the droid instead of the force, and it goes to, again, the droid rack. So that's the first engagement. Then we have a next engagement. And the next engagement is going to be, and this is, yes, this is what I was hoping for. Yay, Data. Data versus the Nemodian. Yeah, I believe he has a 2. Data is a 6 power. Maybe he has a 3 or 4, I forgot. But he chooses to, instead of lose force, he lose. It's 6 versus his 3 or 4 power. So clearly Data is the victor. He loses the Nemodian, forces him to flip his objective back around here. He'll realize that in a second. There we go. Okay. So there we go. So he flips the objective over. And so now he loses that. Now it's I beam everyone back. And actually he loses the effect as well because I got rid of all the starfighters with that attack that I did last turns during this turn. Alrighty. So I'm going to go ahead and beam down people. The 3 that I had up there, I'm going to beam them back down after the fact, and they're going to join the stop to away team. So that's the end of my turn. So I've effectively really done a counter on his forces finally, which is good for me as a Star Trek player. Now he puts down a hearty slam on the cards because he deploys Maul with his double-bladed lightsaber. Now, at this point, it's a huge turnaround for him because I can't fight that. So on my turn, I play Kivas Fajo to draw 3 cards, just because I don't have any way to really combat that with any card plays. But I play that to draw 3 cards. Now, I'm deciding what to do, and I'm going to go ahead and here's again the major advantage of beaming, which you've seen already multiple times. But I'm going to beam them back up to the outpost on my turn here, so it's my turn, and then so beam them up to the outpost, and then beam them back down, but this time to the courtyard. So now my away team, led by Kira, is in the courtyard, Naboo courtyard. So I've repositioned myself after he had deployed, and so I am going to go ahead and on my turn. So I don't know what happened there. Oh, he didn't do anything on his turn. He just drew. So it's my turn, and I go ahead and take out the flagship. I attack the flagship, and it destroys it. The flagship that I had. Oh, sorry. He didn't. I'm sorry. He just played first turn there. All right. So I moved and then attack. Now in Star Trek, you can move and attack rather than attack and move. So now on his turn, after losing the battleship, he moves Darth Maul over to the generators. Now, the reason he's doing this is he realizes he doesn't have a lot of force to throw at me at this point. I have the technological advantage with beaming, so he can't really gang up on me at this point. So he's going to try and do something to me. So he is going to pay 2 to pull out a couple droids from the droid rack to try and get some reinforcements allocated back onto the battlefield to try and offset what I just did to him. But now, since I do control Naboo, I have a total of +3 power I can add to an away team in any given battle, which will extremely help, which will really, really help me. But he pulls the droids out, and then it's my turn. I'm going to play Sulu onto the Enterprise. He generates 1 force during my turn because of his effect again. All right, so I'm now here. I definitely do have an advantage here. So looks like what I'm going to end up doing. Oh, actually, I have 2 ships right now. I apologize, but I'm going to go ahead and staff my Defiant here, I think. If I do that, then it will give me a +3 because I'll have 3 ships there and controlling if I do that. So, but I do have to go ahead and beam someone up to try and satisfy that. So I believe... So it looks like I'm going to beam Jordy up. Yep, so I'm going to beam him up from the courtyard back onto the outpost. And then I'm going to go ahead and... No, I'm going to beam up to the Federation outpost, and then I'm going to beam... No, I did. Okay, sorry. I beamed him up to the Defiant. So, and then I beamed Uhura back onto the outpost. So, and then I am going to undock the Defiant. It's now fully staffed, requires 2 command, which I have on there now. And so now I have a Federation outpost and 3 undocked starships orbiting Naboo. So now control the location with 3 ships. Now I have the 3 power. So I apologize. I jumped ahead there a little bit. So I apologize. So then I'm going to go ahead and do the same beaming thing. I'm going to beam them up to the outpost and beam them back down. So that puts them at the swamp. And then I'm going to attack. So I'm going to attack his little group because I want to definitely get rid of him. All right, so first engagement is Crusher, and she is a 3. Yep, and versus a 2. So that will result. Now he can decide to keep that. Now it's a vehicle, so he really wants to because it can really do a lot. So I think this time around he's deciding to go ahead and lose a force rather than lose the vehicle. And I'm just reminding him where he can lose force from if he decides to do that. So battle damage is 1. Instead of satisfying that with that, he loses it, and unfortunately that means he does lose a really great effect. But he keeps the droid as a result. So we go to the next one. Now this engagement does involve him. This character is on a vehicle with a vehicle weapon. So he's going to fire his vehicle weapon. He draws 2 destiny, picks 1. He's going to pick the highest one, which is a 3. But it does not get over the total of a 7 power, because I'm going to add 3 from controlling the site onto Kira, so she's a 7 power. As a result, the total draw of 4 does not beat 7, so we cannot add the battle destiny. Now we're just comparing power, and it looks like Kira, again, Kira's is a 7. I'm trying to remember. Oh, sorry, 6. So its total power there is 6. So he does have another battle damage as a result. And he's deciding if he wants to lose the vehicle and have the character jump off to save the character. And I believe he decides to forfeit the, yeah, I believe he decides to forfeit the vehicle. Yes, so he forfeits the vehicle instead of the character to satisfy that loss, that battle damage. And then the last one is Data, who's a 6. And then Data is going up against 2. All right, so that is a 4 difference. So that means that with 4 difference, he decides to go ahead and lose that vehicle in the engagement. That's it. So that concludes the battle. My characters are stopped. I've done everything. It is now my opponent's turn. He doesn't have anything to activate. He just has 1 force there for use. Decides to go ahead and lose the force to force strain, and that makes me lose 4. So that total. So I lose I lose 4 points. I'm sorry, since points and force are equivalent terms in this setting. So I lose another 4 points. So that drops me down to 6. And then on my turn, I'm going to play a Starfleet Type 2 phaser. So finally, I have equipment. I finally have something here. So I drop an equipment that gets +2 to the strength of all my characters, and then I'm going to beam Uhura down to the away team to join them, since now she's going to be at the very minimum of 4, which is pretty decent. So I've beamed, and I do want to go ahead. Oh, and I did force drain there. All right, so I'm going to initiate combat here with the away team, the newly formed away team. I set the, as a reminder, I set the phaser aside. So as a reminder for myself for the bonus, and then I mix. So we're going to engage in combat again. Alrighty. Actually, I apologize. No, I'll get to it after. Okay, so McCoy is a 3 plus 2 is a 5. So McCoy is a 5 versus the droid's power, which I believe is a 2, which is a 3 difference, which covers the forfeit value on the droid. So he's going to forfeit instead of take the battle damage. So we go to the next one, and it is Crusher with a 5 again. And that's going to be a 3 power with his droid. So that's a 5 versus 3 is 2. That's be a 2 battle damage. Again, he's so little left that he does not want to take it, and he's going to end up losing the droid, I believe. Now, I did realize something I failed to mention earlier. During one of these earlier turns, he did force strain me, so I did lose 2 points earlier. So I think it was 2 points. So that does drop me down to a -8. So I am actually at a -8 at this point. If things had been done correctly, again, there was that one mess up where 2 force loss wasn't showing because we didn't engage. We didn't. No, I'm sorry. I was thinking something else. I apologize. Okay, so again, force loss of 2. He forfeits the droid, so he doesn't have to worry about that. Now on his turn, he's going to lose a force to add 2 to the force drain from his lightsaber there, as he did last turn. So that's another 4. And I believe he's going to also force drain at the other site. So that makes it another 6. So I'm at -14 so far. And then he's going to go ahead and, yeah, so I'm at -14 so far, because the -14 points, because it's 2 force drains and that. And he, on his turn, decides to go ahead and move the droids over. He moves the droids over so that I can't force strain there to try and stop me from doing that. Although at this point the game is pretty much in the bag because he has no ships at Naboo, and I can force strain at Naboo for 2. And if I'd realized that, I would have done that, but I wasn't thinking clearly. Um, no, I did actually. I'm sorry. This does end the game. I do force strain for 2, and the game is over. And that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was something that was entertaining for you guys and for you guys to see a good look at what it's like to have a Star Trek player fighting a Star Wars player in the Rift system and how those interact. Um, as you can see with the rules that I outlined in this walkthrough with this video, it's pretty self-explanatory and it works very well. It works fairly seamlessly. Again, there was that one turn where I made a mistake where he attacked, but I resolved the combat as per Star Trek when he was the attacker. So it should have been Star Wars combat engagement resolve, but then resolve the effects as per Star Trek. But unfortunately, I did it the other way around, just because I was the mindset of doing that way, because I was the one attacking repeatedly. So that was my bad, and I apologize. So yeah, he might have lost earlier because he attacked, and I had a lot more people there. And in Star Wars, as you know, it's one group total you look at, and not in a single engagement. So that is, again, the way it works. So I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please let me know and just comment below and I'll get back to you on that. So again, I appreciate your viewership and I hope you enjoyed this.